Chapter 1. Once upon a time, there lived a simple young man whose shack sat at the edge of the king's city. It was hidden by a giant oak tree in a maple grove, and the only way to find it was to bring the man's dog a treat. You had to call loudly over the humming of cicadas. The happy mutt would bound across the fields to meet you, ears flopping. Then he would lead you to his master. He was a very pretty dog of medium size, with smooth white fur and caramel-colored spots at the corners of his eyes like an Egyptian pharaoh. This is how the king's messenger found the young man. He ordered him to come along to the castle while bumblebees buzzed plaintively at the horses stomping. The well-behaved lad did as he was told and climbed up on the saddle without question. His dog watched him go from beneath the oak tree. Riding through the summer lands is one of the great joys of life. Everywhere you look, there are gently rolling hills of grass, flower beds, rivers, aspen groves, and orchards. The people wear linen and wide-brimmed hats. Cobblestone roads wind through the countryside. Houses in the king's city are whitewashed to perfection with freshly thatched roofs. The young man drank in the sights, for he had neither horse nor cart of his own. When they trotted through the castle gates, the messenger passed the young man to a butler, and he was led inside through rooms with chandeliers, statues, and courtly ladies and gentlemen dressed to look as fancy as wedding cakes. All the bouquets were made of red roses, nothing like the daisies and cornflowers the lad was used to. He wondered if his old shoes would dirty the polished floors. Every corridor and grand hall was more impressive, and the throne room was the most daunting of all. Craning his neck for a look at the soaring ceilings, the young man had to be reminded to keep walking. At the end of a red and gold carpet flanked by armed guards sat the king of the Summerlands. His throne was twice as tall as a person, and he was covered in expensive fur robes. Every jewel in his crown winked in the sunlight streaming down through the stained glass windows. To his right stood an old man dressed in velvet, who squinted at the new arrival through a tangle of bushy gray whiskers. The butler elbowed the young man in the back, and the lad dropped to one knee.
"Welcome, citizen,"
the king said. He grunted with the effort of standing, weighed down by his jewelry and clothes.
"I am told you are named George."
"Yes, sir,"
the lad said.
"I mean, Your Highness, Your Majesty, Grace, Lordship."
Now, don't be nervous.
The king said.
You are not here to please me. In fact, I am the one who is in need of your services today.
George was so startled, he stood up and stared, slack-jawed.
"Me, sir?"
"Yes,"
said the king.
"I must ask you to slay a dragon."
For a long moment, George looked from the king to the old man to the butler standing behind him. He licked his lips and asked,
"What dragon, sir?"
The king blinked in bewilderment.
"What dragon?"
he repeated.
"The only dragon we've seen, my boy. The fearsome red beast flying through the skies. The creature that has tormented us for months on end. The one none of my archers can shoot. Have you not seen him flying off with livestock and riches? He was here yesterday."
"Perhaps the branches of the oak tree by my house got in the way,"
George said. Exasperated, the king looked at the old man and gestured with his many rings. The ancient wizard stepped forward to speak.
"Ever since the dragon first appeared,"
he said in his wispy voice,
"I have locked myself away in my tower to beg for an answer from the heavens. Surrounded by divination stones and items of power, potions and charts, I tried again and again to read the signs, until finally I fell asleep at my telescope. The stars granted me a vision. They told me, only a brave soul named George will succeed where others would fail. This, young man, is your destiny."
There was a heavy silence as the prophecy hung in the air, broken by the lad's uncertain laugh.
"Can't you use a catapult to kill the dragon?"
he asked.
"He is too swift,"
the king said.
"Some sort of poison?"
He is too clever. What about a fishing net? He is too big.
cried the king.
Bigger than any ship ever built. You must do this, my boy, and when you do, I will reward you handsomely. For now, you may return home and consider what supplies you need. The dragon lives in a summer country far away from here, and you must start your journey as soon as possible, lest we be robbed of house and home before you return.
With that, the butler put a hand on the lad's arm and began leading him out. Halfway across the throne room, George stopped and turned around.
Is there no other George who can go?
He asked.
I'm afraid not.
The wizard said.
The dragon has eaten them all.
George was taken back through the city, across the fields, and to the giant oak tree. His dog was still sitting there waiting for him. Despite the great sadness George felt, he was nonetheless happy to see the mutt's tail wagging with excitement. He fell to his knees and allowed his face to be covered with slobbery kisses. They went into the rickety shack together. Not long ago, George's father passed away and left all his possessions to his 3 sons. The eldest was given the grain mill by the river, with its great wheel spinning and spinning to turn the millstone. The second son was given the horse and cart that had once carried wheat and sacks of grain all over the summerlands. And George, the youngest, was given the dog. He had been well loved by his father, but his brothers didn't understand him. They accepted their inheritance, gave the happy dog a bemused look, and went off to start their lives. You see, George was a daydreamer. He was not a hard-working or exceptional man, nor very creative. As such, he named the dog something he was sure to remember: George. George the dog could tell that something was bothering his master.
Tell me, what is wrong?
He asked.
Oh,
George the human sighed.
I do not know what to do. It is impossible. How about we go for a swim, and you can tell me all about it,
the dog said. Using what little bread they had, George packed a couple sandwiches and followed his furry friend across the meadow to where a lily pond lay hidden behind the tall grass. A warm, invigorating breeze blew through the wildflowers. George sat down amongst the reeds to pull off his socks and abandoned his tunic and trousers before taking a great leap into the water. Lily pads and dragonflies bobbed up and down in the rippling waters. With an excited yap, his dog splashed in after him. They played for a while, chasing goldfish and thoroughly soaking themselves. Then George floated on his back. He felt as buoyant as a frog. Blackbirds with spots of red on their wings clung to swaying reeds. Prairie dogs sneaked close for a drink. Quietly, the dog got out of the pond, shook himself, and made himself comfortable in the shade of a gorse shrub.
That was a good swim, he said to his master. Now tell me what is wrong.
George considered a perfect pink blossom, holding it to his nose.
The king has instructed me to slay a dragon,
he said miserably.
If I do not, the beast will pester the kingdom until we are all poor. You are already poor, master, said the dog. But my brothers are not,
George replied.
And the king is not. And I do not think any of them deserve to be poor when they are used to being rich.
The dog considered this. His regal head pointed toward the horizon.
They are sending me to look for him in a far-off summer country because I am the last man named George, the lad went on. There are no others in this kingdom. The dragon ate them all. And the old man said that only a brave George could defeat the dragon. They think me brave.
I see, the dog said thoughtfully.
Master, they are not sending you away to slay the dragon. They are sending you away to be eaten.
George spluttered as he struggled to stand up without tripping on water lily stems.
What do you mean?
He asked in a panic.
Master, you are the last George of the Summerlands,
the dog said patiently.
Therefore, the king and his court do not want you here. If you slay the dragon, they will be happy. If you go and get eaten, they will still be happy. Either way, They hope this fearsome fellow will move on to another kingdom and eat everyone there named George and leave this place alone.
Covering his face with his hands, the lad stumbled out of the pond and sat heavily upon the muddy ground at water's edge.
Impossible, he moaned. I cannot slay a dragon, I cannot stay home, and I cannot run away for fear the dragon will catch and eat me. What am I going to do?
The dog got up and licked George's face.
Do not despair, master, he said, for I shall travel to the dragon's keep in your stead. However, you must promise me one thing.
George looked into his faithful dog's big brown eyes and stroked his smooth fur. He was doubtful, for the mutt was small as a child, but he trusted this dog with his life.
I suppose any George will do, he said. What would you have me do while you are away? Can I not come with you?
The dog shook his head.
You must not, for the dragon will surely gobble you whole, and then I would be very sad. What you must promise me is that you will do as I say, and hide yourself until I return. You must not be seen, heard, or smelled by anyone, and I will show you how.